A whopping 4 years. 4 years, my friends, is the time it takes Digital Extremes to prime a Warframe and his or her signature weapons. Now, the bag's been out of the cat on this one for quite a while, but Revenant is still my favorite frame, and he has been ever since his release in 2018. And today, I get the absolute joy of testing, retesting, and showcasing to you his absolutely insane primary weapon, the Phantasma Prime. As always, my name is Leyzar, and I got a couple of builds lined up. Something cheap, something affordable, something more new player oriented. But rest assured, my friends, we also got the endgame setup with Prime mods, galvanized mods. We're going to be taking this one to Steel Path and put it through its paces. That said though, please bear in mind that my builds and guides usually take a more new player friendly tone, simply because I want anybody watching to understand how the weapon functions and how it should be built. So in case you're a vet and you already know most of this stuff, you can either skip ahead or have a bit of patience. And with that out of the way, let's jump into the Phantasma Prime. Let's begin by checking out how the weapon handles without any mods equipped. And for that, just a couple of our usual free shots. The Phantasma Prime is an automatic primary beam shotgun with a limited range of 20 meters. Yes, my friends, by default, essentially this is all that you need. You're going to be able to go through all of the enemies within the length of your beam, because this one, just like the Ignis Wraith, has infinite body punch through. Now one more time, infinite body punch through. Now I stress this out because it's such a goddamn powerful thing. One problem though, it's not gonna go through walls. It stops in walls. If you want to go through walls, because you can go through walls, you gotta build some punch through on the weapon. The reload on this puppy super quick at 1.5 seconds. Now, the magazine capacity you see right now is 15. That is because I'm using it with Revenant Prime. But normally, you're gonna get magazine capacity of only 11. And yes, we will test with a different Warframe. Now, that's the main trick of the Phantasma Prime. And this is what you're gonna be using mostly, because this is by far the most efficient way of using the weapon. That is its primary fire form. But it does have a secondary fire form. You're going to be able to lob these bomblets of sorts. You see that? You lob a little bomb, well, a pretty big bomb actually, that has drop off and it has travel time and it's incredibly slow. And it's got about an explosion radius about 5 meters, 4.8, and a damage drop off, which is really good at 50%. Now, did you notice something? These bombs will generate additional bombs, because why not, which fly out and seek enemies. You gotta charge up, boom. Take a look at all the little bomblets looking for targets. And you get an explosion on impact from the big bomb, and you get explosions from the little bomblets as well. And a whole lot of guaranteed impact procs. And I know what some of you might say, hey, impact to slash, right? Nope, this is a shotgun, so that won't work. Regarding the secondary fire mode, cool as it may be, and the fact that you can make a big bada boom explosion by simply charging, you can either tap, get a little explosion with not a whole lot of damage, but you can fully charge depending on the size of your magazine and get a bigger explosion. And by bigger, I simply mean more damage. So you can build magazine capacity with prime ammo stock and try to get as much damage out of one single explosion, like so. You get how this one works. Honestly, it's a cool, again, secondary fire form, but honestly, it's simply not all that efficient. And that's pretty much it. Next, what we're going to be doing is a stat comparison between the normal Phantasma and the Phantasma, which is Prime. Now, ammo maximum went up from 275 all the way to 330, which is a significant buff. But here's a bit of a spoiler alert. You're gonna run out of ammo in missions anyway. More on that just a tad later. What else we got? Same fire rate, same magazine of 11, again 15 only with Revenant, same multi-shot, same reload, same trigger, same mostly everything except critical chance and critical damage. Cause for celebration? Yes and no. From 3%, which was essentially not usable, to 11%, which is almost usable. Critical damage multiplier also went up from 1.5 to 1.9x, which again is usable. And that's it, my friends. That's the amazing buff of the Phantasma Prime. More ammo maximum, which again, I know it may sound funny and you're probably already a little bit pissed, but it's a significant buff. And the critical chance and critical multiplier buff, which is actually a lot less significant than you might think, and you'll see exactly what I mean just a tad later. Now we're gonna switch to Gara, so we get the normal magazine capacity. And of course, we'll make the fashion match as well. By the way, guys, here's another heads up. On Tuesday, Revenant Prime Fashion Frame contest over on Twitch with thousands of plat in prizes and all whatnot. Now let's have a closer look at stats. Mod capacity is going to be 60 out of 60. If your Phantasma Primes comes with only 30 out of 30, you go into actions and you plug in the Auto King Catalyst, which you can pay 20 plat for. You can also grind one from Nightwave, yada yada. Honestly, I think it's definitely worth investing into this weapon. It's a great shotgun, but it doesn't really scale as well as other shotguns in this game. More on that again later. Now mine has 4 forma into it. For the weapon build I'm recommending you, depending on the mods that you have, you can get away with something like 2 or even 3. In the MT Arcane slot, this one is pretty clear cut and dry. If you're going for a raw strength approach, something like corrosive heat, viral heat, and so on and so forth, you go with primary deadhead. If not, if you're going for the newly accessible viral and slash, then in that case, of course, you're going to be going with primary merciless and dexterity if you're going to be using it in tandem with your melee. In this case, if you got all the mods, primary deadhead is going to be the best in slot for obvious reasons. Now, in the Excellent slot, you might be tempted to go with Fatal Acceleration, or even better, Galvanized Acceleration. I mean, take a look at it. 30% projectile length, and on kill another 30% projectile length, because it does need to be long, and that one stacks up 2 times. My friends, with this one fully stacked, you go to stupid ranges of almost 40 meters. That is insane, and amazing, and awesome, and you totally need to handle your ammo first, because you will run out of ammo, and honestly the base 20 meters on the Phantasma is more than enough. So actually in this slot, shotgun ammo mutation, prime shotgun ammo mutation, or vigilante supplies, that's gonna be your best slot. When it comes to the accuracy 100, we don't care. It's a beam weapon. Ammo maximum, again, yay, buff. Ammo pickup is going to be 15. This is a newer stats that shows on weapons. Yes. Fire rate of 12, magazine 11 without Revenant or Revenant Prime. Multi-shot of 6. Noise alarming. Reload of 0.5 seconds. Did I say that reload is 1.5? Reload is actually 0.5. So reload is super quick on the Phantasma. Lightning quick. Essentially, you bzzz, reload really quick and keep on buzzing, which is absolutely fantastic. Riven Dispo stuck to nothing, well, to 1 out of 5. Honestly, Rivens for this one are not worth it at this low Riven disposition, except if you get a really great roll. I know I seen a whole lot of people already, oh, I need a critical chance roll for the Phantasma. I would stay my horses for now until we get a Riven Dispo of at least 2 out of 5. Critical chance you saw, status per projectile 22%, which is pretty good. Impact and radiation, which is absolutely beautiful, because that means we can have on this weapon stuff like corrosive heat, we can have viral heat, and so on and so forth. Now you might believe that if you put heat on the weapon, if you're a newer player, I would definitely understand why you would make this confusion, but no, of course not. Heat is not going to get combined into default radiation, so this is one of the weapons that actually can have heat and rad at the same time. If you want to combine brand new rad into the existing rad, you're gonna have to remake the element within the weapon, so something like so. Only like that you're gonna get extra rad, so do bear that one in mind. Now, for the secondary fire mode, here you go. Accuracy is gonna be the same, everything is gonna be the same except the critical chance and critical multiplier. For the life of me, I don't understand you, D. Why? The secondary fire mode of the Phantasma is pretty goddamn weak as it is. You can barely use it for anything. It's cool, it's fantastic, it's flashy. You can use it to clear out low-level targets. And by low-level targets, I'm being a little bit mean. A fully built Phantasma with a secondary fire is gonna one-shot targets up until level 50, 60 without any problem whatsoever, even if they are mostly armored, and up until level 100 if they're not armored, so they don't have some significant form of damage mitigation. Status chance high at 37%, but I would argue this is too low considering how the projectile actually functions. Fall off is going to be 50, like I said, 4.8 meters, and damage only pure rad and only 73, which again, considering how efficient the secondary fire is a bit on the low side. This is not a problem with the Prime, this is a problem in general with the Phantasma, and unfortunately the buff that didn't do anything about this. They only increase critical chance, critical damage for the primary fire alone, and nothing for the bomb, which is honestly at this point almost useless for high level play, not normal level play. Now let's have a look at a standard setup, shall we? Damage at point blank, multi-shot with health chamber and vigilante armaments, critical chance, critical damage through the use of critical deceleration and shrapnel shot. Of course, hunter munitions is here, and the 260-60 viral mods, frigid blast and toxic of the barrage. Now, Vigilante Armaments is fantastic, 60% multi-shot, but this is your option slot. Plug into this one whatever you feel comfortable with. You know what makes the Phantasma Prime and a whole lot of other weapons feel fantastic? A little bit of fire rate. So my recommendation to you fantastic individuals would be to use something like Shotgun Barrage or Amalgam Shotgun Barrage. There is one mod that works better on this weapon. Considering how much you fire and how much you reload and how smooth the transition is, this would be a perfect weapon for repeater clip. 105% fire rate when aiming for 9 seconds. Absolutely bloody fantastic, right? It's the best in slot on this weapon. If it would work, because it bloody doesn't. It doesn't trigger. The goddamn freaking thing doesn't trigger. If you aim, if you don't aim, you can test it a million ways like we did in the past couple of streams. Unfortunately, repeater clip does not work. And you might say, okay, so it doesn't work on the Phantasma. Wrong! Repeater clip right now doesn't work on anything. Dear D, could you mind giving us a little fix? It doesn't work on a single goddamn shotgun in the game right now. So a fix would be very much appreciated and all whatnot. Now, where was I when I went off on my angry tangent? Hashtag angry tangent. Oh yeah, back to critical chance and critical damage. The reason why I'm showcasing something like this is not because I believe this is the best idea of a build. It's because the Phantasma Prime got a critical chance increase, so I want to show you how it works. Now, the base is still too low at 11, even with a 200% of critical deceleration, because you're only getting 33%, even considering that this being a beam weapon, you get 2 procs, you get 2 damage sticks per each and every single ammo, which is absolutely fantastic, but it's still not enough for consistent slash. Allow me to demonstrate. That took a while, and that's a bit of an issue. Now the reason why they're dancing all over the place is got us passive. See, I got 1 slash out of a magazine. Out of a goddamn magazine, I got 1 slash. This is your vital slash on the weapon's own strengths. If you want to make a vital slash build truly work and look powerful and impressive and all whatnot, what you need is some outside help. Something like the Kavat buff, something like Arcane Avenger, something like Nidus's thing and all whatnot. You need to make it crit through other means outside of the weapon's own base critical chance and the mods you can apply to it. Now you can give it a bit of a push. Let me be as fair as I possibly can to bloody vital slash. Now here's one thing I could do. I can already hear you screaming, more crit! You really want to sacrifice 1 more mod slot for crit. Of course, why not? Seeing is believing and all whatnot. And of course laser sight is gonna give you the biggest amount, 120%, in addition to the 200 of critical deceleration. Alright. We're gonna go like so, because the reason why you're not getting a whole lot of slashes on your targets is because the critical chance is only 33%, and after you get a crit from the 33%, Hunter Munitions only kicks in for 30% of the time. So go for head. We're gonna need a kill to get our critical damage from shrapnel shot. Come on, mama. We got it! Yay, shrapnel shot damage. This is better. A bit more vital and a bit more slash. But this is definitely not an impressive showing for the latest Prime. I mean, what am I supposed to tell you? Yeah, it works. It's supposed to be the Phantasma Prime and Wreck House, and it does not. And it does not with a vital slash setup, unless, of course, again, you're going to be using some bonus additive after effects. If you're going to go for something like Arcane Avenger, Kavat buff, etc., yada yada, then yes, it definitely does work. But on its own 2 feet, forget about it. So, back to damage, my friends. If Vital Slash doesn't really perform all that well, another option for you, of course, is gonna be to go for the tried and true recipe of more damage. Point Blank Blaze, Vigilante Armament, Hell's Chamber, Frigid Blast, Toxic Barrage, Shotgun Barrage, and Scattering Inferno. Now this is your base build for mostly everything, except going down to Deimos. If you're going to Deimos, you should switch to Corrosive, and I will show you Corrosive Heat Radiation and Vital Heat Radiation as examples. We're going to be spawning in one more time, the Corrupted Heavy Goons level 120. Now did you know that about this build is essentially almost identical to my Phantasma 2021 build, so to bear that one in mind. Use that body punch through, my friends, use that fantastic body punch through and take a look at the enemies melt. A whole lot better, a whole lot faster than the Vital Slash setup, because the honest truth is that it's not a critical weapon by itself, again. And this is the kind of performance you can expect out of Vital and Heat, which is pretty damn good. Now, Vital Hit is fantastic, but you can also switch to Corrosive Heat. I do love myself some Corrosive, so we're going to be doing that one as well. Only one minor change is necessary. Shell Shock instead of Frigid Blast. And you got Corrosive, Radiation, and Heat on the weapon, which is obviously best for elements. And one more time, the Corrupted Heavy Goons, level 120. You can go for a headshot or not, considering the critical chance it doesn't really matter all that much. And take a look how I melt the Corrupted Heavy Goons without any issue whatsoever. Against the Corrupted Heavy Goons per se, Corrosive will be performing better, but against everything else, go with Vital and Heat. And this is the kind of build I recommend if you're just starting out in Warframe right now. Now, my friends, this concludes the new player portion of the game. This is something that you should treat as a jumping off point. This is something just so you understand how the weapon functions, what are its strengths and what are its weaknesses. And you can work into something like this. We got Prime, Charge, Shell, absolutely beautiful mod. We got a disgusting Bane mod because you don't really have a whole lot of fantastic mod options if you take critical chance and critical damage off the menu. One thing that you can do is mod for critical damage and rely on critical chance from outside sources, but that of course will rely heavily on the Warframe and the arcanes outside of the weapon, so the weapon by itself is gonna be pretty wonky. Galvanized Hell instead of the normal version, and Galvanized Savvy. Now, Galvanized Savvy works and it doesn't in this case. It works fantastically well for the primary fire mode. It doesn't really work so well for the secondary fire mode, as in it only grants you the status chance, not the extra damage, because that's what DE said. It would make explosive weapons too powerful. I wish they would rethink that, considering that they just nerfed AoE weapons and all whatnot. Amalgam Shotgun Barrage. Now, for me, this is an option. You lose 5% fire rate from the normal Shotgun Barrage, but you do gain that 45% revive speed. Once again, repeater clip, best in slot, repeater clip, if it would work, but it doesn't on anything. So, there you go. And that's pretty much it. Prime Point Blank and Primary Deadhead. Yes, we do have a whole lot of flat damage, but this is the weapon, my friends. And this is what it's good at. Clearing high-level targets up until level 150 with supreme prejudice in a matter of seconds. Take a look. Now that's what I call an endgame setup. Now, of course, this being raw damage, you gotta ask yourself, well, hold on a minute, how does this actually scale into actual high levels? And by actually high levels, I mean level 4,000, 5,000, whatever thousands you want. Not so good is the answer. Not so good, which is why we try to insist on Vital and Slash. That is critical chance and Hunter munitions. But again, for that, you will need some Warframe buffs. As for the weapon as itself, let's try the secondary fire mode as well. It's fully stacked. Yeah, stacked. I got stacks. Let's aim a little bit further. There we go. That's an impact. That's an impact. As you can see, it's not really the most powerful secondary fire in the game, but if you want to take out your targets like so, you can definitely do so. I recommend you just buzz them, because you buzz and then they disappear. It's as simple as that. Primary fire mode being a whole lot more powerful. Now, my friends, this is shooting standing still targets, which is hardly worthwhile, right? Let's head on over to Steel Path. Welcome to the Void, my friends. Now let's see what the Phantasma Prime is capable of. We're gonna absolutely melt the Corrupted Heavy Goon without any issue whatsoever. Now, while the secondary fire mode isn't all that fantastic, it's still fully capable of doing a bit of damage to your enemies. While the Bombard wasn't exactly impressed, you can still one-shot a Butcher for the most part. As for the weapon's offensive capabilities, I mean, it can go for everything without any issue whatsoever. What more do you need to know? Essentially, everything that stands before you, to a certain extent, is gonna be melted in rapid fashion without much of an input from you, except pressing and generally pointed in the weapon, in the enemy's direction. That said, if you're going for a critical approach, you do need to go for headshots for obvious reason, and if you still don't know why that is important, hella important actually, link the cards right now. But if you're gonna go for the raw strength approach, like so, you can just aim for whatever the hell you want. The feet, the neck, the torso, it doesn't really matter all that much. Now, this show of brute force has its limitations. If you're gonna be hitting level 300, 400, then you're gonna see why flat damage doesn't really scale all that well. In that case, you should try and build Vital and Slash on the Phantasma Prime. But the thing is, it doesn't really do a good job at it. If you really want to go for Vital Slash, there are, I don't know, maybe 16, 17 other weapons which do it a whole lot better than the Phantasma. The Phantasma is meant to be enjoyed as it is right now, in the sense that pure, raw damage capability like so, which is absolutely bloody fantastic. Now in this combination, obviously we had corrosive on the Phantasma together with heat and radiation because the vital procs were guaranteed by the Panzer Vulpaphyla. And I think that's pretty much all I can show you in Steel Path. Fine, I'll show you a slash vital build as well. Frigid Blast, Toxic Barrage for the vital, of course, Galvanized Hell, Galvanized Savvy, and for critical chance, critical damage, you got critical deceleration together with Prime Ravage. And of course, Hunter Munitions needs to be here as well. And the Bane mod. You know what, if you don't like Bane mods like I don't like Bane mods, you can simply replace it with a bit of flat damage. It's gonna be totally fine. You know what, I hate this thing anyway. Let's go with Prime Point Blank instead. As for the Arcane, we're gonna be going from Deadhead over to Merciless, which is not necessarily the best investment. That 30% reload speed only means 0.1 seconds faster reload, so there you go. That's not all. How about a little bit of a Warframe tip? If you're gonna be using it with Revenant, because he's amazing and all whatnot, make sure that instead of whatever aura you're using, you use Combat Discipline instead, because this is the way you can maintain your survivability but get procs off of Avenger, which is necessary if you want to make a critical build work in the case of the Phantasma Prime. So Arcane Avenger R5, 45% critical chance, and you can add the 33% on the weapon and you go to 78%, which is more than enough for Hunter Mumu. Now back to Steel Path. We're back here once again. Now let's see if we can get that Arcane Avenger up. Yes, we can. Of course we can, thanks to Combat Discipline. As you can see, Vital Slash definitely works without any issue. Now, take a look. Beautiful, isn't it? Absolutely bloody fantastic. Arcane Avenger is the little weird I don't know even how to describe that icon, but you can see it in the buff bar over there. It even makes the big bomb thing work a bit better. Not exactly, because the critical chance, the base critical chance on that one is still 3%, which is bloody weird. Attaboy D, fantastic buff and all whatnot. Honestly, my friends, with a build such as this, you can clear Steel Path without any issue whatsoever. And like I said earlier, this is gonna scale a lot better into the super high levels if you're interested in something like that. Now, I'm fully aware that most of you guys don't waste your time in things like that because it's mostly pointless, but some people do, so we need to respect that 100%. And this is kind of the performance you can expect out of Steel Path, with a Vital Slash build augmented, of course, by the Warframe's own capabilities, and an Arcane, which is absolutely glorious. Again, you need that Avenger R5 to make this work even better. And I think, my friends, that is pretty much it for Steel Path. Now it's time for my favorite part of the review, Warframe buffs. And in this case, going with Harrow is gonna get you that all-important crit, which I know some of you guys really need. So of course, as before, Arcane Avenger. Corrosive Projection is fantastic against heavily armored targets, but please don't feel forced into this one. If your build calls for Loot Detector, Energy Siphon, Steel Charge, or whatever else, simply go for the aura of your choosing. As for a secondary Arcane, honestly, this is when you would use your Energize and all whatnot. But if you want to help out the weapon even more, you can try a little bit of Fire Rate. And here's a cheapo mod that you can use, and it's shotgun only. Arcane Tempo. On critical hit, 90%. Fire rate to shotguns for 12 seconds is the 15% chance. And again, I love this one because it's on the cheap. As for the weapons build, you might say, okay, we're going to be taking off critical deceleration, right? Yes, you can. You can do that considering all the crit you get from Avenger and Harrow. And instead you can put something like Blaze. For example, Blaze is a fantastic idea for more raw damage, even though you have plenty. Or you can use something like a Bane mod. And if you get an actual good Revenant, which is pretty hard to roll considering the low dispo. Oh, I forgot about fine. Companion buffs. In this case, it's obvious that you should go with something like, I don't know, any Sentinel you like. Just make sure that on that Sentinel's weapon you have the 4 Vigilante mods. I would like to stress again that in longer Steel Path missions, you will run out of ammo. So ammo case is definitely the way to go. And in the XL slot, make sure you go with something like shotgun ammo, prime shotgun ammo, or Vigilante supplies. Now, keep in mind that you already have Vigilante supplies right now on your little Sentinel. So make sure you take it off the Sentinel if you're going to be using it on the weapon. Is that it? Revenant. Fire rate I got from Revenant, so I don't need to build fire rate on the weapon anymore. You can stack fire rate, and even though the reload is quick, you don't really want to bump into it all that often because it's simply annoying in gameplay. Now, that's it, right? Is that it? Yes, that's it. I'm gonna bump up the level to 165. Curious how Digital Extreme still refuses to let us spawn high-level targets in the simulacrum, but there's really nothing I can do about it. We're gonna activate for the mighty Revenant. Did I say Revenant? For the mighty Harrow. 4 ability, Covenant, which saves your entire party, 0 thanks guaranteed. At the end of it, depending on how much you stacked it, you're going to be getting yourself a critical chance buff that can go 200% for headshots fully stacked, and for body shots only 50%, which is why we still use Avenger. Second ability for Harrow grants you fire rate and reload speed. Bet you didn't think the Phantasma is ever gonna do something like this. Absolutely bloody beautiful. And those targets are fighting themselves simply because they got radiation procced. And yes, with Harrow, it's a joy to use this weapon as long as you can stay alive long enough. Harrow is a beautiful frame, a fantastic frame. I highly recommend them, so definitely go for a little bit of Harrow. You can use the secondary fire mode, fully stack it up like so, and you're gonna be getting yourself viral / essentially everything. Because of Harrow, mostly an Arcane Avenger. There's really not a whole lot else I can say. Let's draw some conclusions. The Phantasma is an amazing weapon that I love, so obviously I love the Prime, because you know what? Objectively speaking, it's better. It's not a whole lot better. I'm a little bit disappointed that they didn't touch the secondary, and the base critical chance should be at least put at 15% for the love of Christ. But you know what? At the end of the day, better is better. And I highly do recommend this weapon, even though it may not be the most ideal weapon for super high level play. I'm talking about level 6,000, 7,000, whatever else, 1,000. And I do believe, my friends, that is pretty much it. As always, my name has been Leyzar. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe only if you enjoy the content. If you got any feedback for me, I would love to read it in the comment section down below. Also in the comment section down below, if you got any particular suggestions for content. I would like to see that build, the other build, and so on and so forth. You can also catch me on Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, all the usual places. One last reminder, this Tuesday, my friends, this Tuesday, Revenant Prime Fashion Frame Contest. Winner gets a cool 1,000 plat. But until next time, my friends. Oh, I forgot about plugging Patreon again. If you love the content and you want to help me keep making it, realistically speaking, link in the cards right now for our Patreon. Consider supporting us. And I'll catch you guys this time for real in the next one. Bye-bye.